Saying goodbye never gets easy. I remember when I was in 8th grade, our school had a fundraiser raffle for a new gym floor. Someone donated a 12-week-old Australian Shepherd puppy. That puppy was Bailey. I remember every kid being stoked about the puppy, and I remember every kid trying to convince their parents to try to get the dog. I overheard a lot of, "Yeah, I'll get you the dog," and things like that parents were telling their kids. I went to Catholic grade school at this time, and I remember getting picked on a lot for not having as much money as other families, getting made fun of for wearing the same clothes I always wear, not having Abercrombie and Fitch, honestly just being different than the other kids at my school. I skateboarded and everyone else golfed, it seemed like. I didn't even ask my parents to try because I thought it wasn't even in the cards, and I didn't want them to feel bad for not being able to get me the dog. I went over and played with the puppy for a little after the other kids and thought to myself, someone is going to get a great dog. I just hope they love her as much as I would. After meeting the puppy, I was pretty bummed out. Then the raffle started, and we all waited to see who gets the puppy. So last item up, the bidding started at $200, I think. I remember the look on my parents' face when they were bidding. We were going home with that puppy. The other family bidding had some money. Dad was a judge, Mom was a lawyer, and again the feeling of being lesser and insignificant crept in on me. I didn't expect them to keep bidding. The bidding stopped at $1,200, and my parents did it. The thought back to that moment when the bidding stopped and she was coming home with us still gives me chills. I thought very little of myself at this time. Only had one or two people that were my friend. Kind of thought of myself as an annoyance to the world and didn't think I deserved anything that would bring me happiness. In this moment, I learned that that's not true. There's nothing wrong with me that makes me less deserving of happiness than others. After this, I felt a new confidence I had never felt before in my life. I learned that things were possible for me. Happiness wasn't reserved for people with money. I felt like so many doors had opened for me and the possibilities were endless. I spent most of the night watching her sleep, waiting for the morning so I could hold her, love her, teach her things. Bailey has been with me for the good times and the bad times. She is a gentle reminder to me that I'm capable. I can create the life I want and be proud and happy. She is family, and it breaks my heart to see her leave this world. She has had a life full of love and adventure. There's been many chapters to her life, and a lot of you have been a part of at least one of those chapters. Thank you for your part in her life. She will be missed and eternally loved. And with that being read, I want to welcome you back to the 127 Fit podcast. Today's guest is a climber, athlete, coach, professional cocktail bartender, and a professional wild card. Today's guest is Christian Paul. Christian, I want to welcome you to the 127 Fit podcast.
Awesome. Quinn, thanks for having me, man. Pleasure to be here.
For sure, dude. So, Christian, we're just gonna jump into the warm up here, and we're gonna start things and kick things off with the question: how do you start your day? And is there a morning routine that you like to stick to most mornings and most days?
Yeah, for the most part. So here's what it looks like when I get up in the morning. So I get up, grab my dog, we go for a walk, take him to the bathroom. Kind of think about what I got to do today, make like a mental to-do list. I'll come into the gym, kind of tidy up things from the night before. Like people, unfortunately, are not great at putting their equipment away. So I'll play cleanup for like 10, 15 minutes. I'll try to read like 5 to 10 pages at a time in the mornings. I've never been like a big reader. I'm not going to sit and read 30, 50, 100 pages of something. But 5, 10 pages at a time, a bunch of times throughout the day is manageable. So that's how I like to start out. I'll typically go into my training from there, get my workouts done, I'll coach 10:30 to 11:30, 11:30 to 12:30, and then I'll cook breakfast. I used to get up real early and cook breakfast. I found it's just a lot easier for me to get a couple of things off my to-do list, and then within boundaries get taste as long as it's not like really late and I'm missing meals throughout the day. So I found that's the best way to get that meal in for me. Whereas other people, they get up super early, cook. I like to get a couple things off the to-do list, get after it, and then so that's pretty much like the morning what I do. Nothing too crazy.
Now, did you mention something about mental training? Did I hear you right?
Mental training.
Or not? Did you?
Well, no, like I'll read a little bit.
Okay,
well, I guess yes and no. Like when I'm walking the dog, I'll kind of like think of things I'm thankful for, kind of formulate a to-do list for today.
Right.
I need to get better at actually writing that to-do list down once I got it. But
okay, cool. No, that's great, man. So, I just know, and some people's, like myself, my morning routine is very structured and things like that. Other people's is a little bit more free-flowing, but I just think if there's one or two things that we stick to in the morning, it can really create that momentum that we need to tackle the day and attack the day and win the day. You know what I mean? So whether it's really structured or more just kind of open and free-flowing, but I just really believe in the power of starting your day off right. Because I believe if you start your day off right, you'll end your day right, you know. So,
100%, yeah.
Cool. All right, so speaking of reading, is there a favorite book that you've read maybe throughout your lifetime or even recently, or a book that you like to gift often?
Yeah. So I'm real big into climbing, outdoor adventure, like the Hatchet, books like that. Like those have always been super fascinating. Lord of the Flies.
Okay.
So one that I really like in particular is called Denali's Howl.
Okay.
It's it's based off a true story. It's the gentleman that wrote it's Andy Hall, and I believe his father was the superintendent of the national park that Denali's in Alaska. I forget the exact name of that park, but so it's kind of from his account, doing research, going around like interviewing people that survived, the families, people that talked to them before they went on their trip. And essentially, I believe it was 12 people went up to summit Denali. 5 people survived. Wow. It was like a once-in-a-lifetime storm. They got locked down for like a couple weeks. And there was like 100-mile-per-hour wind, crazy temperatures. Like their traveling was out of the question. You're hunkered down where you're at and you're waiting.
Right.
And then it was just kind of an account of that, of like the struggle that the people survived had to go through. And I think it's a really, really eye-opening book for not just like a mental toughness aspect, like, cool, this is what they had to go through to survive, but also a lot of people like have never been to the mountains and think it's kind of, and out here in Colorado, it's like manageable and pretty safe. But if you go into the mountains not prepared, especially in like the wilderness, bad things are going to happen. You don't have water, you're going to get lost. So I think that's something that people don't really think about is like, you could die in the mountains, like straight up. That's some real shit.
Absolutely.
And so that aspect of the book was super fascinating. Just the struggles they had to come over to survive and all that. So I like to gift that book to other people because I feel like that's something that I would look for that a lot of people wouldn't look for in a book, but others would get a lot out of.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. All right. So do you have a favorite quote or mantra that has been impactful in your life?
Man, I don't know if it's exactly like a quote from somebody, but I've heard it tossed around a lot. Like, there's not a lot of big things you have to do at once. Like, success is a lot of small things done throughout the day. Yep. So I think I've really embraced that. I'm like, man, I got 20 minutes here. Let's read a couple of pages of this book.
Yep.
Man, I got 15 minutes here. Let's send a couple of these emails that I know are piling up and just trying to stay on top of things and not like, I'll just throw all these things on this list and I'll knock it all out on Sunday, on my off day, because it's going to be easy that day. It's never really going to be easy. You just got to get it done.
Yeah, cool, man. That's a great quote. That's a great philosophy to live by. You know what I mean? Just like, as long as we are taking one step in the right direction every day, whatever that looks like in your life, like, you'll eventually get where you want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And life isn't a sprint. It's a marathon, man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And if you try to pile everything up on your day off on a Sunday, dude, it's going to be overwhelming. It's probably going to create for a lot of us anxiety and all of that stuff and pressure that we don't want to feel on our day off. And if you're like me, you kind of just throw up your hands and say, I saved too much for this day or this time, and you usually don't get anything done, or maybe one thing and you were wanting to get like 20 done.
Yes.
So just those little micro steps or those little kind of micro accomplishments that they add up over time. And that's a lot more beneficial than trying to get everything done in a short amount of time.
Exactly.
So,
like
beautiful
these
philosophy.
Big sexy goals and
right.
You know, the smaller ones aren't as attractive, but they're
Right.
so important.
Absolutely. So the final question, Christian, for the warm up. Do you have a favorite podcast or most listened to podcast?
Yeah, so recently I've been listening to another one, but for a long time it's been the motherfucking CEO project.
Yep.
Andy Frisella gets me fired up. Anytime I'm like second guessing or like feeling unmotivated to do what I need to do for the day, I'm like, all right, well, I'll just listen to one podcast, and if I still don't feel like doing it, I've never listened to the podcast and not been fired up afterwards. I'm like, you know what, I'm being soft. I need to go handle my business and just suffer through it a little bit. Sometimes what you got to do. But so I love that one. One that I've been listening to a lot is Power Athlete Radio.
Yep.
So it's a little more on the training.
John Welborn, right?
Yes. A little more on the training side of things. Super interesting. So I do a lot of Westside Barbell Conjugate stuff right now. I want to go get their certification, but I'm super interested in Power Athletes.
Absolutely.
I'm just kind of touching the surface with the research and their stuff and everything.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm liking the podcast a lot.
Very good. Yep, John Welborn is definitely and that whole crew, the Power Athlete crew, definitely a wealth of knowledge when it comes to training athletes, man, and nutrition and just high performance. Because John, I believe, if I remember correctly, he played 10 years in the NFL.
Yeah,
and
it's a big boy.
Dabbled in CrossFit a little bit, I think, when it was kind of coming on the scene, and definitely has a lot of knowledge and experience to share. So that's a great one. And then I think because you had mentioned that you listened to Jordan Baldwin's episode of the 127 Fit podcast, and if I remember correctly, she brought up the MFCEO podcast as her favorite or one of her favorites. You know what I mean? And I listen to Andy all the time, whether it's on the podcast or YouTube. And I actually kind of like listening to him on other podcasts, just sharing his story.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a powerful, impactful story, like he's been through it, man. Like basically from the bottom to the top. And it's really cool. So awesome. So all right. So speaking of Andy's out of St. Louis, and didn't you mention that's kind of where you're from?
Yeah.
Too? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that'll tie in perfectly. So let's kind of jump into your backstory. If you don't mind, let's talk about kind of where you grew up, and I want to get into a little bit of that introduction reading that I read of yours off of your Facebook post about your dog. But you also mentioned some of those struggles that you had as a young boy in school and things like that. So let's kind of just, if you don't mind, sharing with myself and the listeners where you grew up, kind of what the home environment was like, and then let's start unpacking some of that introduction reading about some of the things that you struggle with as a young boy, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, born and raised in Belleville, Illinois. Okay. Belleville's a cool little spot. So St. Louis is obviously Missouri, right on the other side of the river.
Okay, cool.
On the other side of the river goes East St. Louis, Belleville, then Millside.
Okay.
So Belleville is sandwiched right in between the country and the hood.
Okay.
So we get a nice little mixture of like gangster people, country people. There's like a little bit of everything in there.
Cool. All right. Very good. So, you grew up in Illinois, right by St. Louis.
Yeah.
What was brothers, sisters? Kind of what was that home environment like?
Yeah. So I've got two siblings. My brother's a year and a half younger. My sister's 9 years younger. So she wasn't around for quite a while. But growing up, my dad was a contractor. My mom was a nurse. Dad owned the home business, and like we were very really poor for like a good portion of our lives. Like.
Right.
I remember nights like my dad coming home with 2 Happy Meals for dinner for me and my brother, and whatever we didn't eat was their dinner as leftover.
Right.
And like that's what it was like. Like day-to-day stuff, like man, like I remember my mom would wake us up probably around like 10 or 11. All right, boys, time to get up. Like we'd have like a little bit of something to eat, and like this is more so during the summer than the school year.
For sure.
All right, have a good day. You can come back in at 5. If you need water, it's on the side of the house. There's the hose. And it was like just go out and be a person. Go meet people. Go like be creative, explore. I think it was more so like they were busy and they had shit to get done.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
But yeah, so it was a lot of, I think, what I remember doing like the most in my childhood was skateboarding, riding bikes. It's kind of like going around, and I feel like that's something that kids don't do a lot now. It's like I would like roll by houses and see kids playing, and me and my brother would just go up, introduce ourselves. Hey, can we play on your trampoline with you? Yeah. And that's how we made friends. And we eventually had like a little bicycle gang, like kids rolling around the neighborhood, stop at Tommy's house, and then pick up a couple other along the way. And yeah, it was a small group of friends back then. But so that was kind of the home life. What we did during the day, like we played outdoors all day. My mom would ring the cowbell when it was time to come inside, and wherever you're at in the neighborhood, you can hear that. And if you didn't hear it, you were too far away, and you're gonna get an ass whooping when you get home.
Yeah. Now, if you don't mind me interjecting here, that freedom that you had in your childhood of just kind of exploring and roaming, there's definitely a lot of positives to that. But there can also be some negatives. Did you find yourself and your friends? Did you guys find yourself in some trouble, or not per se?
Yes and no. So like as far as the trouble spectrum goes, not too bad. But there's so we grew up pretty close to East St. Louis. Like my house. So this house was right on the border. We moved like later once I got into high school to get out of the school district. But I grew up in the East St. Louis high school district. And like there was a lot of abandoned houses around. So we would like break into the houses and like explore and like ultimately it wasn't the greatest thing, but we kind of like vandalize, break windows, and just like be shitty kids. And I remember one time like we broke into a house and it ended up like being renovated, and we like broke in and just left the house completely open with this dude's power tools and everything. Like looking back, they probably all got stolen and everything. But
probably,
like just I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're kids. So yeah, just like not very considerate, I would say. But yeah, so there was a lot of freedom and ability to make decisions on your own, but not a lot of correct paths to follow. So I'd say, like, I didn't get in like with a bad group then because I was a little younger, but I feel like that ultimately, like later when I got into high school, like led me to not hang out with like the greatest group of people, and not make some of the best decisions. So like I remember like in the abandoned houses, we'd find like needles and like crack pipes and stuff like that. So it was just like not that big of a deal, like, oh, drugs, whatever. It's like something that people do. So, like in high school, I started getting into like the wrong crowd, I'm kind of blowing by.
You're
so,
fine.
Keep
going.
going.
Keep going. Yeah.
So in high school, I kind of got like started hanging out with the wrong crowd. Like, there's a big mindset back home. Like, don't be a bitch. Don't take shit from anybody. Like, somebody looks at you the wrong way, you go let them know you're a man. You ain't gonna take that. So, very, very wrong mindset. Not a good mindset to have at all. But it got me into like a lot of trouble. So I get into fights. It wasn't like a gang, but I joined like a little get money group, and we basically just sold drugs. So like a few years in high school, like I had a little connect in East St. Louis, and I'd be able to go down and like pick up a couple hundred pills of ecstasy for $2 a pill, and then yeah, man, like I was kind of a bad kid in high school, and I think one of the there was a few turning points for me, but one of the big things was my little brother went to Catholic high school. Like I got expelled from grade school and everything. So my parents were like, well, we're not going to pay money for you to go to school. You're going to public school, and just in case. And he went to Catholic school, so he was a little more prim and proper than I was, and a little more like well behaved. So he found out that I was selling ecstasy, told my parents. They called the cops on me. I think they would have gotten in trouble too, but cops came to the house to like search my room. I like just sold all my stuff and only had money. Like got like a stern talking to. Like you would have gone to jail if we would have gone in there, and your parents probably would have gone to jail with you. So that was kind of like an eye opening moment. And they're like, I think this is the end of my sophomore year, so I was like 15, maybe 16, beginning of junior year. And then I remember the summer going from sophomore to junior year. My parents were like, we need to do something with this kid. So like I was just in a downward spiral, man. Like I was just angry, fighting people, selling drugs, and that was kind of like what I did. And I remember like I went to, it's a very popular course called Outward Bound. So
I've heard of it,
so it was a 3-week course in the Black Forest in North Carolina, and like I think part of the reason why I was like gravitated towards like the not like gang, but like the little get money group and like all that stuff is I wanted to belong somewhere because I didn't have any confidence, and like I just wanted to be a part of something. Like I felt like an outsider like a lot of my life, and like I didn't fit in. So like that was like the attractive part of that, and I lost my train of thought.
No, you're fine. So I just want to touch on that because in your write up about your dog that you recently lost, you mentioned about kind of being different. You kind of did the skater thing, just kind of always feeling maybe disconnected and secluded from other groups of people and people you're going to school with. So I want to touch on that a little bit, because that type of mindset when you're a young child can really have a negative impact on most people's lives, or at least have a negative impact for a big part of people's lives.
And it did,
and it sounds like it did for you.
Yeah.
So just touch on where do you think that mindset, or where did those thoughts of just kind of being separated and different, where did that come from when you were such a young child, do you think, Christian?
So I had, like, it was a combination of like not fitting in at school and then like some problems at home.
Okay.
So I get along very well with my mother now.
Right.
Like growing up, not so much. Like my brother was kind of like the well-behaved kid that's gonna get good grades and make something of himself, and I was like, the perspective I had of myself that my mom viewed me was like I'm kind of like the troublemaker, like kind of like, oh, he's not gonna do much. He's not very intelligent. So I kind of like felt like I always had to like prove something at home, like I didn't fit in necessarily, and I know that's like a story I was creating myself.
Right, exactly.
I've talked to my mom about it now, and it's all good. But and then like the part of that at school is I went to I went to Catholic grade school for most of my life, and the first one we went to was like a very, very low end Catholic grade, like the bottom of like whatever you could. This was it for the lowest budget to get people out of public school. So it wasn't like the greatest school. They ended up shutting down when I was in 4th grade. And then, like, my parents didn't want to send me to public school because, like, the ones that, like, I would have been in East St. Louis Public School District then. Yeah. So they sent me to this other Catholic grade school called Blessed Sacrament, and this was, like, expensive. Everybody's parents were a judge or a lawyer. They, like, I would always hear kids talking about, like, cufflinks and shit and, like, tie clips and going golfing, and I'm like, I don't even know what a cufflink is.
Yeah.
What do you?
I don't think I still know what it is.
It's a thing that goes on your cuff when you're wearing like a button-up shirt.
Okay, well, I don't wear button-up shirts.
Exactly. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. I felt so bad for like not knowing these things. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I would like get picked on for being the poor kid at school. Like, oh, your dad's a contractor. He doesn't make however many hundreds of $1,000s a year. And I'm like felt like this was the rest of the world, and then for some reason, sorry, dog, come on, get down.
It's okay.
He's gonna try to crawl on your lap. He's a baby.
It's all
but yeah, man. So it was like I went to this school, and I had friends at my other one, and like it was pretty good, like nothing crazy, but just like going to this new one, man, like it was a combination. Like I would get picked on a lot for being different, and then in turn, like I would pick on the people that were like weaker than I was because like. I was just like an angry kid, man. So I feel like it was just like a world of negativity that I was in. It was like there was nothing positive happening.
Right. So that mindset of negativity when you're a young boy, it carried on through high school. You kind of got connected with the wrong crowd, so to speak, selling drugs and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So and then we were up to the point where your mom, your parents call the cops on you.
Yeah.
You just sold some drugs. You just had money. Got like the stern talking.
Yeah.
So, and you said that was kind of an eye-opening experience for you and kind of a game changer.
That was it for both. Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, you go out to the out what's it called?
Outward bound. Yeah.
Outward bound. So that outward bound experience happened after the parents called the cops on you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from let's pick up your story and your background from Outward Bound. What was that experience like? And then let's move on from there.
So I think the Outward Bound experience, like I think it's like cemented my love for the outdoors, like my passion for like getting people outside, and so for me like that was like detrimental to where I am today. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not saying I'm like killing it by any means, but I definitely don't think I'd be doing quite as good mentally as I am right now. Like if it wasn't for that, so. It was 3 weeks of whitewater rafting, backpacking, and rock climbing. Cool, yeah. I'd never done any of those things. Right. I never, like, I ran a mile at school because we had to in PE. That was, like, up to that point, besides soccer practice, I did soccer for a bit. That was the most physical, like, try hard I had ever done. I remember, like, there was one moment where I was like, this is the hardest I've ever tried at anything. We had our full packs on. We're, like, it's nighttime. We're like almost at our campsite. We've been hiking all day, and we get like. So here's the option: go up this steep ass hill, small mountain, or take like a 4-hour detour around it. Right. So we went up and over it. I just remember it was so steep that we were all like basically bear crawling up this, and that was like I feel like the moment where I was like, okay, this is really trying hard. Like, and it gave me a lot more confidence. They put you in situations where you have to navigate the group. They teach you how to operate a topographical map. Right. And they're like, where are we going? This is where our end destination is. How are we going to get there? And if you mess up, they'll let you make the mistake. If you like half-ass throw out an answer, cool. Let's go. Yeah. And then, like, that's what I did. Didn't really pay attention to what they were saying when they were teaching it. Then it was my turn to lead the group. I, like, made a half-ass decision because I wasn't listening. Right. And it put us, like, 2 hours behind. And then one of the coaches was like, you sure we're still going the right way? And I was like, honestly, no. I just kind of said something because I thought it's what you wanted me to say. And I kind of learned, like, oh, fuck, you actually have to think about shit. And, right. So that was, like, a cool moment. I think the coolest part of that whole experience is they leave you alone in the woods for 2 days by yourself. So they separate everybody by, like, 1 mile to 2 miles. They'll scatter kids throughout the woods like they know where you're at. Right. You don't leave that area so you don't get lost. And they leave you there with a little bit of food for 2 days. You're there by yourself. I'd never been by myself. Right. Like, really, like, in a situation where, like, okay, there's nothing to do but just, like, sit and think about shit. So I think that was one of the other most impactful experiences from that. And I noticed, like, when I came home from that, I had so much confidence. So it was still kind of the situation where, like, I was getting picked on by some people that, I wanted to be cool to them, so I put up with it. And then other people I was picking on. And I remember, like, people would fuck with me a lot. Like, burn holes in the seats in my car when I was, like, had a driver's permit and, like, sneaking out and shit. Right, and, and, like, I would just put up with it because I had no self-confidence. Like, I'd walk in a room and there'd be people, like, hiding around the corner and they'd just, like, punch you because they knew you were going to do shit. Yeah. And I remember, like, I came back from this trip and then one of my buddies, like, was like, hey, we're having, like, we're going to drink beer and smoke weed. Come on over. Yeah. So I went over and, like, they're like, oh, we're going to fuck with Christian. And, like, so one kid, like, came out and he was, like, I guess he was just trying to, like, punch me in the face or something. And I was just like, oh, hell no. I came back and caught him in a headlock. And they're, like, everybody was so surprised. Right. And they're like, let him go. I'm like, well, who is it? And then, like, ever since then, I, like, stood up, like, real firmly. And I was like, oh, dude, like, all I got to do is just, like, say no. Or stand up for myself. Right, like, for sure. So it gave me, like, a lot more confidence to just, like, make decisions and not be in limbo and just, like, I don't know what I should be doing. Yeah.
Right? Scared, yeah.
Yeah, so
that was, so you went to this, you had this experience with kind of this camp or whatever. Yeah. And then you come back and then you have this situation, you're at this party, you know, people are going to kind of try to keep treating you the same way they've always treated you. Yeah. You had the confidence because you had this outdoor experience at this camp. Yeah. You had this confidence, you stood up for yourself. Was that right there where you stood up for yourself and said, you're not going to treat me the way you've always treated me? Yeah. Was that, like, probably up to this point in your life the biggest turning point for you personally? Or do you think that was maybe just one of the dominoes or catalysts to kind of transform you and move you in the direction you are today?
I mean, I would definitely say it's one of the biggest ones. Yeah. It's hard to pick one, you know?
Right, no, for sure.
But I would say, like, that is, like rock solid. That's up there. That was detrimental because then it was not just like, this isn't what I'm going to put up with. This is like me, like, hey, I respect myself.
Absolutely, yeah, cool. So after that experience at the party, and now what age were you? Were you like 15, 16?
So this was going into junior year, and it was over the summer. So okay. I believe I was 16.
Okay, so let's keep rolling. So how did your junior senior year just kind of quickly, was there, obviously you had this experience in the summer at this camp and all this, and then standing up for yourself at this party. So what did that do for you then for your junior and senior year? Did things kind of change for you, or what did they look like?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a process. Like, nothing was like overnight. Yeah. But I started like believing in myself. Yeah. Like, okay, I can try in these classes because I don't think I'm not just dumb. I can get good grades if I try. So, like, that was, like, a positive benefit of it. Started to see, like, a little bit of improvement in my academics. Just like I thought I was dumb like most of my life. Like,
Right.
Like the impression I got from like my mom was like not the most intelligent person. People would assume like because my parents were poor that it's because we're dumb, and like ultimately I'm dumb. Yeah.
Okay, so you just said something there that I want to touch on, Christian, and that's, you know, there are, I'm not gonna call them curses, but there are generational strongholds in people's lives.
Yeah.
And so you were just talking about, you know, kind of the poverty that you grew up in, and this mindset, and there's a lot of negativity in the home, a lot of negativity, outside of the home and everything.
Yeah.
It sounds like there was just a lot of negativity when you were growing up, and if you know, correct me if I'm misspeaking here, but I bet if we look back at your family tree, was there a lot of poverty in your family or not?
Yeah. Like, well, I don't know if it's like straight up poverty, but
Right.
definitely like
Lower
lower middle
income,
class.
right, yeah,
like
yeah.
everybody, man, like my grandpa has been a contractor his whole life.
Right.
A lot of other people are military looking back and like manual labor. Yeah.
So this is something that's really powerful, because there are generational strongholds, you know, with families and people. So if we look at an individual, a lot of times, you know, we're all on some level a product of our home environment. So the day we die, like we are learning so much when we're young kids. We're so impressionable. So whatever our home environment, whether we live with grandma or we live with mom or dad or older brothers, whatever those kind of adults and leaders in the home, whatever that looks like for us, that is going to mold and shape us, especially, you know, when we're younger.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that shapes an individual for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And so we have these generational strongholds, and if you look back like on a family tree, you will see there's some outliers, but for the most part, you know, generation after generation after generation of people basically fall into the same category as, you know, their grandparents and then the great-grandparents and the people before them. You know what I mean? So I think this is something very powerful to talk about, is you being able to break, you know, that generational stronghold of maybe living in poverty or living in a lower class or lower middle class, whatever words you want to say, because there's a mindset. That's what I'm trying to get to. There's a mindset.
100%.
There's a mindset like, this is what mom and dad did, so this is kind of what I'm going to fall into.
That was exactly what was expected to be. Yeah.
Right, and that's why I just want to unpack this a little bit, because this is very powerful for the listeners that are going to be listening to this and hearing your story, because a lot of people, like we talked about before we turned on the podcast and the mic and everything, a lot of people, most people in life are hamsters in the wheel. They're moving, but they're not going anywhere. They're the dog chasing the tail. They're moving, but they're not going anywhere. And we talked about, like, you know, back in the Midwest, there's some good people. There are a lot of people, not just in the Midwest, but we're both from the Midwest. That's kind of like where we grew up.
Yeah.
You see these people, they work the same job for 40 years.
Yep.
They do this, the same routine 40 years in a row. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And again, we're going back to that generational thing. Well, I'm a farmer because my mom and dad was a farmer.
Yeah.
And you look back, and then their mom and dad was a farmer. Nothing against farmers, but again, I'm just using that as an example. Like, you just do the same thing, and it's like, and then it's just where our minds are conditioned.
Yeah.
So we have to realize we have to get alone. We have to think. We have to do that hard inner work. We have to get uncomfortable with ourselves, with our own thoughts, our own feelings and emotions, and we have to realize, like, hey, like, there's more to life than what mom and dad did. There's more to life than, you know, all the negativity that surrounded me my whole life. Like, who am I? Why am I here? What do I want my life to be? We have the power as a human being to change our thoughts and to transform our lives and to powerfully positively impact the world that we live in. So with all of my kind of perspective there, I want you to share about your thoughts and your mindset and what you've had to go through to kind of break the bonds of that kind of that generational thinking and mentality, just kind of gonna work hard and just go with the flow.
Yeah, so like, man, there wasn't even a conversation about it. I just remember Dad was like, so when you're growing up, you're going to be doing a lot of like the hands-on stuff in the field. Matt's going to be handling, that's my brother Matt. Yeah. He's going to be handling the paperwork, and whenever my sister came along, like, she'll be doing like this. And that was kind of always the plan. Like, you're going to be a contractor. You're going to run a construction company. And his kind of plan was to get that company to a successful spot by the time we were that age. So it's like, cool, you're not starting from scratch. It was like a weird little journey getting there to realize that that's not what I wanted to do. It was a combination of going to college for construction management and just feeling like I'm wasting my time. I was like, I don't want to sit at a desk and like do this stuff. Like, this is like I could do it, and it's more so what's expected. It's not what I want to do. I don't like feel like I bring people value doing this. I feel like anybody could do this and it'll be fine. But yeah, so there was that. And then a little bit before that, I would say I got kicked out of the house when I was 16, 15, 17. So I got confidence from the Outward Bound course. I didn't get intelligence necessarily. It was a combination of me starting to having the confidence to make decisions, but also like not making the best decisions then. So then like I'm living on my own. I get into college later down the road. And my parents get divorced. I think I was like 18 or 19. And yeah, the company got like, it was like one of the most selfish like displays of like how that could have gone down. Neither of them were able to come out of the divorce with anything. They both lost everything. Lost the company. They lost their house. They lost their vehicles. And it was just like, they were both like trying to dig a knife into each other and hurt the other one. They both just ended up with nothing because of it. So it was like, well, here's this whole plan to run this company that's kind of been the plan the whole, and now it's gone. Yeah. There's no plan to bring it back, no plan to start another one. And I was like, oh fuck, like I gotta make decisions. Like this isn't there. That's not guaranteed. It's also not really what I'm passionate about, not what I enjoy doing. Maybe I should like stop chasing or stop climbing this mountain. Yeah. So I was in college at SIUE Edwardsville for construction management. I stopped going, I think it was my sophomore year. I'm like real close to having, I think it's my associates or basically all your prerequisite classes out of the way, which I should take college algebra and be done with it, so I'm not going to mess with that. But yeah, so I stopped taking school seriously and like what I was doing there, and like kind of started this journey. Like I knew I needed to like discover myself. Like I was like, I literally feel like I don't know anything about myself. Like I don't know how I'll react in like certain situations. I don't know like my mental toughness. Like there's just so much that I don't know. So I stopped going to school. It was a combination of me not wanting to spend money on that degree that I'm not going to get, and then just like kind of partying and not making great decisions as well. Yeah. So got out of college, started bartending. Got into a routine like they're talking about just for a couple years. Mm-hmm. It was like 2-3 years bartending at this one spot. I was like, I feel like 3 years of my life just disappeared. Yeah. I didn't accomplish anything. I went out and drank a bunch every night. I felt like I was the most ambitious person in my group of friends. Like I stopped selling drugs and everything, but I still sold weed. Yeah. It was like, in the grand scheme of things, I didn't view it as like, I'm not selling a hard drug, and it's an easy way to make some extra money in the area because it's not legal back there. For sure. So I was still doing that. I just felt like I was, like people were like feeding off my energy sometimes. Like I was the most ambitious person in the group. I didn't even feel like I was that ambitious. So I was like, I need, like something's got to change. Like I got to do something, man. Like I don't know what it is. Like a job, I got to move. I was like, maybe I should move. Maybe like everybody that I've known that's moved away, very few people have had like negative experiences moving away. So I was like, I gotta do something, man. I gotta get out of here. I gotta move. I gotta grow as a person. I gotta discover myself. So I kind of started this journey, like getting out of my comfort zone. I had like 3 days off work one time. I drove to the Smoky Mountains and camped by myself. Cool. Just trying to get out more like that, and like the idea of moving away just kept, as time passed, became more and more apparent. Like that's what I need to do. So got to a point where I just like had enough. Like just felt bad about myself and what I was doing, so I sold everything that I owned. packed up my Volkswagen Jetta with my dog and moved out to Denver. And kind of started this is going into my 3rd year out here now. And kind of started this journey. So I'd say like the moving out here, it's a tie. Like when you were asking me like the most impactful, that probably, if I had to pick one, that was it. Because that was straight up just brand new. There's nobody to help you. There's nobody around. There wasn't anybody to help anyways before, but there was at least like family. Like, I can go stay at Dad's house.
Safety net. There's a
safety net. There's no safety net out here
for sure.
Okay,
so I want to interject again.
Yes.
So you said you were bartending 2-3 years, just kind of like stuck, whatever, kind of going through the motions. Where did the thoughts begin? How did the thoughts in your mind start coming to be about like changing and like just getting up, leaving everything, and moving? There had to have been like an outside force, an outside person, a book that you read, a podcast you listened to. What was there? What was kind of the thing behind that? How did those thoughts start coming to fruition in your mind? If you can kind of pinpoint something.
Oh, sorry. Can you word that one more time?
No. So you're in that 2 to 3 years bartending. You're kind of stuck. You said, and then you started thinking about. Like, okay, there's kind of more, like, there's got to be a change, something's got to give here, and I'm gonna leave everything, and I'm going out to Denver. How did those thoughts start coming to be in your mind? Was there some sort of book? Was there a podcast? Was there a person, a force? Like, because that stuff doesn't just happen like out of the blue. Like there's kind of a process like we talked about in the past. Like,
so something I like blew by that I like kind of like didn't mention that I very should have mentioned earlier. So like fitness obviously has been a common denominator my whole life.
Yes.
The biggest, and I totally like blew by this earlier.
Okay.
I jumped with the topic and ran with it.
It's all good.
But so I got expelled in 8th grade for fighting and everything, and like I was like super depressed, like feeling like pointless. My parents were like, well, you need something.
Right.
They signed me up at this gym called the Firehouse Gym. I was the only 8th grader there. It was all high school and college athletes that went to like this one particular high school and then like trying to progress to this particular colleges in the area beyond that. I started training there, and that was like my first introduction to training, like weight training.
Yep.
So that is like when I started like training. I've done karate a lot. God, I'm like all over the place right now. I started doing karate when I was like 8, and that was like a form of training.
Yep.
But I would never say that I like really pushed myself the way I have with like weight training.
Right.
Yeah, I find it a lot easier to empty the tank with the weight training. But so I kind of started there. That's where like my love of fitness is kind of originated. I've never stopped working out. Like no matter how serious or not serious it's been, I've always done something. Even if it's like going to Gold's Gym, doing a bro workout, hitting core every day, bicep tries, whatever. So on that topic, what kind of led me... So now I'm interested in fitness. I've been interested in fitness and doing things. I've been doing the same thing a while. My buddy Ryan's like, hey, dude, let's go check out this indoor rock climbing gym. I was like, all right, cool. I'd never climbed before.
Right.
Went one time and I had like the most fun I'd ever had in so long. I was like, dude, rock climbing. This is amazing. Like, you can do this outside. So that was one of my reasons for choosing Denver, because I was like, I know I want to like be camping, climbing, doing all these crazy things and other activities that I don't know about. So I would say like my buddy Ryan Medler asking me to go to the rock climbing gym just some random day when I was like 19.
Right.
I was already interested in fitness, but that was like, I could do something with my fitness besides just moving heavy weight. Like I can go on a big hike, go climb some cool rock, and then go back home.
Cool, awesome, man.
So that was kind of
I'm glad we got to that, because that is like, you know, we were talking again before we turned on the mic, like kind of my fire and my passion is to pass that gift of fitness on to the next generation.
Yeah.
And it's so I've seen it in my life. A lot of the previous guests on the 127 Fit podcast. It's like, you know, sometimes, you know, people get into physical culture and physical fitness later in life, but a lot of times there's at least a taste of it in the younger years.
Yeah.
And either they stay on it, or, you know, they kind of get out of that physicality and go for a while, but they kind of come back to it. But physical fitness, that physical culture, I've seen it over and over again, really, really can radically transform and change an individual's life.
100%.
Life. And it's just such a positive outlet, especially for people that are type A, high energy, just like go, 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 go. It's like, it's just where we can kind of go, and it's like a sanctuary where we can just get lost. So I'm glad we finally got there. So the fitness was a part of your life from a pretty young age, and then the fitness and everything then was kind of a catalyst to get you out of the comfort zone, to leave everything back in the Midwest and then move out to Denver. So was there like a coaching job that you took, or kind of what was that catalyst?
No.
There?
So it was, I needed to change, and I feel like a lot of my life, like I haven't had a lot of confidence. I've been waiting for like the perfect moment to do this thing, or everything to line up to do that.
Right.
And I was just like, you know what, dude? I'm like living too carefully. I need to be a little unreasonable. I'm too reasonable. I need to be more unreasonable.
I like it.
I didn't have a job lined up. I know, like, I had good bartending experience, so I could get a job in the industry, and I know, like, what the base pay of that is. So sold all my things, moved out here with, like, maybe $4,000 saved up. My dog, no job lined up. Was a feral human being for 2 weeks in the mountains. It was amazing. Yeah. It was the only time I had, like, 2 weeks off work since the time I started working with my dad when I was 15, and like it was just like amazing to have nothing to do for a day. So that was great. And then, man, where am I going with this? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm getting ready to.
No, you're okay, dude. So you moved out to Colorado, to the Denver area, and you spent 2 weeks kind of just like free range, free roaming in the mountains. So then. What happened after that? Then?
Okay, so obviously needed an apartment, needed to take a shower, shave, and I need income.
Right.
So went and got an apartment, had money saved up. That wasn't an issue. Went and got one of my regulars at the place I was bartending at in St. Louis told me about this place called Williams and Graham out here. They're like, it's the best bar.
Okay.
You should go apply there. And I was like, cool, I'm getting a job there. Decision has been made. I came here and I got the job there. I went into the interview. Like, I'm getting, like, I wasn't, like, overconfident or rude or anything like that. But I was just very sure, like, this is going to happen right now. Like, I visualized it, saw what that was going to look like, and made it happen. Got the job. The job wasn't what I wanted it to be to begin with. Had 4 years of bartending experience. They're like, cool, you're going to start out doing the door and prep. And going from making, like, about $4,000 a month in St. Louis to about $1,200 a month out here.
Yeah.
I was... What? Like, how am I... So, that was, like, a huge obstacle that I didn't see coming. Like, I thought I'd be able to make more money than what I was worth.
Right.
And I just wasn't able to make the money I wanted to right off the bat. So, started out doing the door, doing prep, not making a lot of money. Had a roommate who moved out here with me. The beginning of the second month, rent's due this day. Hey, man, I'm moving back to St. Louis. I can't do it. Blah, 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 blah. Which, whatever, I'm not mad at anybody. Like, live your life, do what you gotta do for yourself. But it put me in a bad spot, because now rent's due, you're gone. He had a backup plan, though. It was like this random guy he found on Craigslist, came in, I was like, well, fuck, it's either take this random dude who seems okay, or get no money for rent this month. So, dude moved in, beginning of the next month, he was out when first of the month was up for rent. So I'm like in between a rock and a hard spot already financially, just trying to make ends meet, and then I'm like getting $800 shorted on rent from people dipping out, and it happened 2 more times, and it was my own fault for not taking security deposits, not putting people on lease, like being too trusting and like, oh, you're a good person, you'll handle your business. Right. People like are good people until they are in a situation where it's like, I gotta take care of you or me. They're gonna take care of themselves every time. And it's like that. Everybody would do that for the most part. So, that was like, there was a whole week where I only had money for a bag of potatoes, and I was like trying to think of different ways to cook it to make it taste differently. So I was cutting it in like cubes and slices and doing all this shit. Like really, I'd say the first year and a half out here was just like struggled hard the entire time. Got outside and climbed and did as much outdoor stuff as I could, but it was like, I didn't feel good about myself, man. I was just like struggling really hard, and then, I was just, fuck, dude, I just gotta stay diligent, doing these things, trying to educate myself more, working hard, doing extra things, and after like a year and a half, things started paying off. I got promoted, not making money. I can focus more on my training. I'm getting results here. They're saying, hey, we need another coach at the gym. Would you be interested? Like in a few months maybe. So like things are starting to fall into place.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. I'm starting to see like the hard work I'm doing. Like things are going that way. So just keep working hard. Came to a point where I realized like I was kind of sold on a lifestyle and like an image that I need to uphold that I don't really think is important. So I was paying like $1,600 a month for an apartment. Had a 2017 Legacy. I had no extra money ever. I was always broke.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like I'm never home. I'm always out and about doing things.
Right.
I don't need this brand new car that gets door dinged in every parking lot and I get angry because of it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of had like this moment where I realized I was like sold on this lifestyle and it's taken away from my fitness. Like I'm just trying to work all the time and I'm not sleeping.
Right.
And ultimately, I'm not going to get good training sessions in if I'm not sleeping. That's so important.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh God. Totally.
You're good, man. So you're talking about, you know, you're trying to kind of keep up with the Joneses. You got the nice ride. You got $1,500-$1,600 a month apartment and all that. You're trying to fit into this image or whatever that you think you want. But then you kind of are coming to the realization like, dude, I'm like, you know, this coach and bartending, doing all this stuff and trying to fulfill this lifestyle or whatever I think I want. But it sounds like there was like an emptiness inside, like, dude, like this maybe isn't what I want. So kind of what happened from there then? 100%.
So I like didn't have time to do the things I wanted to do. I didn't have the financial freedom to do the things I wanted to do. And then also from like being on my own since I was 16, like I've made bad financial choices.
Right.
I've got debt and I'm working on paying that back now. So I kind of made a decision like, I'm done trying to like uphold this image of like what people think I should be and what I think I should look like to other people and like within boundaries of good taste. Like, so I got rid of my car, got rid of the apartment. I have a 99 F-150 that I live in right now. I've been living in it for 6 months. I can go get an apartment if I need to. I've got money saved up. Dude, I'm really like embracing trying the minimalist lifestyle. I don't have things that I don't use every day. If it doesn't bring value to me regularly, I don't have it. And that stops me from like, oh, I want this. I need to go buy this. I need to get that. Well, I have a pair of boots, and that serves a purpose.
Yeah.
I don't need another pair of boots because I don't have room for another pair of boots.
That's right.
Just because that one's brown and this one's black or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So kind of like got away from this materialistic lifestyle and trying to like impress people and look cool and like I'm successful all the time and I'm so much happier right now.
Absolutely.
So I've got plans that I'm not going to live in the truck the rest of my life.
It's just another life experience, another season for you to learn and the season will come to an end just like all the other seasons.
And I saw there was things like I need to sacrifice to get to where I need to be. Like I'm living a little too luxuriously. I got these things I don't need, and I got debt I'm trying to pay off, and like credit I'm trying to get better, and businesses I want to start like later down the road. And if I don't have my own shit together, like who's gonna believe in me if I don't have my shit together?
Exactly. So we've already been going for close to an hour. So there's a couple of things I want to kind of dig out of your story and some of your life experiences, Christian. And the first one is the bartending experience.
Yeah.
Because you know, different people have different mindsets about things, but like, you know, if I think of like bartending, it's not like, I mean, I know there's money in it.
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
Yeah.
But I think of a bartender as kind of like a little bit, you know, like a little bit lower and all this different stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
So, but I've had friends and been in like relationships with somebody, a girl that was a bartender and stuff, and I think that. I know that there is a possibility of great learning being a bartender in the sense of communicating with people and just learning people skills and all that, and you know, having to be on, dealing with people that are drunk, dealing with just all the dynamics of being a bartender. So what I'm trying to get at, and the question I want to ask you is there like a lesson that you have taken from your years as a bartender that has played a very powerful had a very powerful impact in your life?
Oh, man. Yeah, so I'd say, like, one of the things that just, like, pops into my mind is, like, so we have this image of certain people that you see, right? Like, dude, that guy's successful. He's got his shit together. I've seen that guy pass out on the floor in the bar looking like a shit show before.
Right.
So it's cool to see, like, people are people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They come into bars, like, they look like this, like, they got all their shit together, and sometimes they're just, like, emotional and they want to vent about things. So it's cool to kind of see people not on point all the time.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's not the standard. Everybody's not perfect 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It's in regards to communication. Oh man, like I used to have like a lot of social anxiety, and I like started getting into the service industry because it's I don't need to have a bunch of like education and all this other stuff. I just need to talk to people. So I was like, fuck, dude, if I want to make money, like I gotta learn how to talk to people.
Absolutely.
It was so hard for me, and it was literally just fake it until you make it.
Right.
I was having like nervous breakdowns on the inside, like, hey guys, welcome in. They had no idea.
Yeah.
Like unless I was like like saying things or like shaking,
Right,
they have no idea what you're thinking.
For sure.
So it was like a part of like, dude, I don't need to be perfect or like on point. I could like stutter my words and sound like an idiot, and it's totally fine.
Right.
So I think the other part to that is like, man, just like being able to talk to anybody. You deal with any and all sorts of people at any given time, you know? Like real country white people that have never met anybody but themselves. You get like real gangster people. You get people from other countries that have like this is their maybe you're their first experience here. So you learn how to communicate with anybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like
and so,
deaf people, blind people, like everything in between.
Yeah. So then those people skills that you've gained through bartending. How has that helped you then as a coach in a gym?
Oh man, it makes me comfortable talking to you, and I think it makes people comfortable talking to me too.
Yeah.
It's an intimidating topic, like talking about your fitness, especially if you haven't been active. A lot of people don't feel good about it, and it's like such a huge mountain to climb. So I think like being able to just be comfortable with people is detrimental to that. Because if I'm not comfortable around you, and you're not comfortable with yourself and your fitness, you're definitely not going to tell me about it if like we're not having a smooth interaction. So I think that's given me the ability to like get people to be more authentic with me, so I can see like dude, what's going on? Why you just feel helpless? Okay, like we can work with that. Like that's it's not you, it's everybody.
You're a relatable dude.
Yeah,
and authentic. And real, and that goes a long ways with people, especially people that are stepping into a gym maybe for the first time, or they're having the inner struggles that you've shared that you've had at different times in your life.
Yeah.
When you're like, hey, I know what you're going through. I've been there, and you've honed some people skills and been around all kinds of different people through the bar. That I believe makes you that much better of a coach inside of a gym and a lot more relatable.
Thank you.
And then that just provides a greater value to your clients, to the people that you're coaching in groups, and then to the gym that you're working at. You know? So has there been one person, and maybe it's somebody that you've met, maybe it's through maybe like a listening to a podcast, like I know you mentioned Andy Frisilla earlier.
Yeah.
But has there been one person, Christian, that you would say has been the biggest influence in your life for you personally as a man?
Yeah, my dad.
Your dad? Okay, cool.
Yeah, like he's not like into fitness really or anything.
Yeah.
My dad's a very reasonable guy though. He's very easy to talk to. It's like, you know how you talk to some people and they're just like waiting to say their thing.
Right.
He'll let like 5-second pauses after you're done talking. Just I'm a lot more comfortable like talking to him about things. I don't know why. Like I don't want to talk to my mom about things. I don't like looking weak around my mom.
Right.
But for some reason with my dad, I'm able to do that. So I've just always been able to be real open with him, and like he's had a lot of struggles and like weird things he's gone through that I found relatable. So like he didn't have a good youth growing up. He made a lot of bad choices. He sold a lot of drugs and did some bad things along the way. So whereas I think a benefit is where he is seeing his shortcomings, he's really pushed me in those areas. Like,
cool.
You need to stick. Like, I remember I started doing karate when I was a kid, and my brother quit. He wouldn't let me quit. He's like, "No, you're not allowed." And like, I enjoyed it. It was just because it got to a rock and a hard spot, and I just wasn't having fun anymore. Didn't let me quit. And I think that is like one of the biggest things. Like, you don't quit things. You see them through to the end. If you don't want to do it again, that's fine, but you always start where you finish. Yeah, like my dad's been huge, man. I love him dearly. Yeah, a lot of it, like fitness-wise, it's been like random people like here and there. Like my buddy Jordan and Chris got me into working out, like at a more intense pace around like maybe freshman year, and then I would say I started getting competitive with CrossFit. Man, when was I, like 20? And then that was my buddy Mike, like who owned the gym. And the reason I got into CrossFit is I was doing MMA, getting ready to like go do amateur fights and everything. I totaled a motorcycle, lost all the skin on my left side of my body. You can't wrestle without skin. Then that's when I started doing CrossFit. I needed that intensity. So my buddy Mike, he's a good friend of mine now, but he was my coach back then, still a coach. Kind of took me under his wing and like, hey man, this is when I work out. If you want to come in and work out with me. And yeah, so he taught me a lot, like a lot of hands-on training with him as opposed to like, oh, here's the workout for the day. Here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what you're doing right. He told me why we're doing it. And so I'd say Mike, my dad. I'd say those are the biggest ones. Like I haven't had a lot of like the great mentorship that some people have had. It's been like a lot on my own. I feel like, but
that can be just as important, just as powerful and impactful as somebody that's kind of had that one major mentor or a bunch of major mentors. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's your story, and it's beautiful, man.
So I'd have to say like my dad's the supportive, like emotional one there, and then my buddy Mike was like the educational one, like pushing me, telling me to stop being a bitch and figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, so in regards to fitness, Christian, overall, generally speaking, what has fitness meant to you, and how has it positively impacted your life?
Fitness is, I would be a very different person. I don't think I'd be in a good place right now without it. I kind of discovered it in a dark time. Yeah. Gave me something to like be confident in, goals to shoot for in that time. So for me, it's like, it's my life, man. Like I'm never going to stop doing it. I'm always going to weight train. I'm always going to do this. I'm always going to try to learn new and exciting things. Right. And then what is that? Then what was the second part to that question?
Just kind of like what fitness means to you, like
what it means to me.
You know what I mean?
It's my contribution to the world, man. Like, there's been a lot of portion of my life where I felt helpless and like I'm at the bottom of a hole. There's nobody coming to help. And there's nothing I can do to dig myself out. I've been there. I pulled myself out of it, and I see people that are still there, and they're like, "Oh, there's nothing I can do." So I'd say like with fitness, the ability to help people not feel helpless. Is one of my favorite things. It's a snowball effect. Like you get your fitness on lockdown, you got more confidence in your relationships, your business life. It all comes together.
So I just want we're gonna kind of start wrapping things up here, Christian. But just a couple more things. So we talked about kind of the mentors. We talked about kind of what fitness means to you. Where are you wanting to take your life from kind of this point forward? Is there some sort of like goal, dream, vision that you have personally that you are really grinding hard to work towards?
Yeah, like one day later down the road. So it's like there's this guy Louis Simmons who Westside Barbell. People are like, oh, you want to talk strength conditioning? Go talk to Louis.
Absolutely.
I want people to talk about me, like not like from a pride perspective, but like he's so knowledgeable. This is the guy that's going to help you get you to your goal. And then not just like in regards to high-end athletes and things like that. I want to help as many people live a healthier life as possible. Not everybody's going to be an athlete. Not everybody's going to empty the tank every time they come in the door. They might get in 3 times a week, push 70%. But just keeping them consistent in that, getting them as like healthy as you can get them. Just doing as much as I can do for individuals through fitness. Like that's my contribution to the world, man.
That's cool, dude. So do you have a desire maybe someday to own like your own facility, your own gym?
Yeah, like later down the road for sure. I definitely feel like I'm in the, like I get a lot of responsibility here, which is cool. So I get to see, for somebody who's not an owner of this gym, a lot more of like the behind the scenes stuff and a lot more responsibility, which is great. But yeah, later down the road, I would love to have. I have like a rough cut. I haven't put too much thought on this, but I would love to have my own facility targeted for everybody. Maybe it's, I don't know exactly what it would look like, but maybe elite classes at this time, other classes at this time, because I've found like some people getting into the gym working next to elite people, it's intimidating and it turns them off. Sure. So just a way to maybe make it a more approachable setting for a lot of people is I think the hesitation.
Cool.
So that's an opportunity for like later down the road. But yeah.
So I'm just to be straight up with you, man to man, over the podcast. I want to encourage you and challenge you to what you just shared with me and the listeners. I want you to start writing that down, because once we write something down, it's one thing when something's like in our brain and it's just kind of like right around, but there's something powerful about like taking what's in our brain and writing it down. And then I want you to like post it somewhere like that you're gonna see it every day, man. Because once you start like repeating that like in your mind, like you write down like what you want your gym to be like, kind of that vision. You write that down. You put it. You're putting it out in the world. You know what I mean? And then you're reading that, and you're starting to condition your brain like that. That's gonna just pave that way. It's gonna make that path that much more clear in your mind for you to walk in that direction to accomplish that. Because if it's just rattling around, you're like, oh, maybe someday, it's like, but that's what's in your heart. Like you just shared it on the podcast. Like that's kind of what's in your heart. Like you want to use fitness to impact as many people as possible. You like to have your own gym. So I just want to encourage you and challenge you. Whatever that vision is inside of your mind and your heart and your soul for that gym, write it down, post it up, and just start reading that. Maybe add that to your morning routine. Because again, it's gonna clear that path for you to accomplish that down the road, and you're posting it and putting it out in the world. Then, okay?
Deal.
Because it's gonna happen, but I believe it would happen quicker. Okay, if you start doing what I just told you, putting that on paper, conditioning your brain to think about it, and going over it every day, and then just continue to move in the direction that you're moving to accomplishment. So, because it's inside of you. So now you got to get it outside of you, put it out into the world, and then just keep grinding and moving in that direction. All right?
Oh yeah.
Because it's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna happen. And
slowly but surely.
It's cool. So all right. So two more things. If there's a guy or a girl listening to the podcast and they're really resonating with your story. They're struggling right now, okay? They're listening to this and they're like they're going through the darkness right now. Yeah. Would you just speak to that person or those people about how they can kind of overcome the situation they're in right now, whatever that situation is, whatever darkness they're feeling or going through? How can you encourage them to overcome what they're going through right now? Yeah,
so if you're, like whatever that looks like, you're depressed, you're like you want more out of your life, you're like just whatever that may be. So what I was talking about is like this feeling of helplessness and then waiting for everything to fall into place exactly as it should for that perfect moment to do what I need to do. There's probably something you're thinking about right now that you don't want to fucking do. It sounds awful. It sounds scary. But it's something that's going to help you grow. And you're trying to set yourself up as best you can to take that step. Set yourself up as best you can, but take the step. Don't wait 3 years from now I'm going to do this. Dude, sometimes you just got to start moving and figure shit out along the way on the fly. Things might fall into place for you, and there might be that perfect moment. All your bills might be paid. You might have extra money for the next month's bills. Your relationship's going good. Odds are it's not going to happen. And you're going to be spending a lot of time waiting. Like, I decided I wanted to move away. I started okay, I need to have this. I need to have this apartment and this job lined up. It was just taking so much time. And I'm just getting farther away from my goal by not acting and just trying to plan everything perfectly to a T. So I'd say whatever that is in your life, you need to do it. You're not sure how you're going to get there. Set yourself up as best you can and then just jump. Pick a date and go for it.
Love it, man. So that's so cool because there's a previous guest that I had on and kind of her quote that she gave in the beginning was, "If not now, when?" Yeah. Dude, we're not perfect as human beings. The world is not perfect. No. Nothing. Perfection is a lie. There's nothing perfect in this life. Us human beings, we're all imperfect. We've all got flaws. There is never going to be the right, perfect situation. So it's like you said, try to get your ducks in a row to the best of your ability. Don't be irresponsible. Be responsible. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's dude, if not now, when? Yeah. Go for it. There's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect day. You know what I mean? Just jump in, figure it out, and it'll all work out.
Yeah.
Right?
Fake it till you
Cool.
make it.
Cool. All right, good stuff. So last question for you.
Yeah, what you got?
What sets your soul on fire? What fires you up? What burns inside of you? What's your jam, Christian?
Like getting rid of the helplessness feeling from people. So one girl in particular, she's like 10 or 12 years old. She has like some health issues going on. One of our other coaches trains her brother. She doesn't train her, but she tags along.
Right.
And like while she's hanging out, while her brother's training, I give her like little tasks and things to do. And she went from like not looking at anybody and not saying anybody. Like she's like, this has only been a few weeks, but she's like coming up, talking to random people. And I feel like just by showing her a couple of things, like, hey, here's how you punch a bag. Here's how to rock climb a little bit. She's like getting out of her cage and like talking to people. Whereas before, like I noticed like she was like looking down, like didn't want to talk to people, like try to like shy away. And I'm sure like, not saying that's not the case completely.
Right.
But I can see like the little bit of help. The help that I've given her through fitness has given her so much more confidence. She like that helplessness feeling. I can see like it dissipating away. She's going up to strangers, saying things to people. So I have to say like people that think they're not capable of doing something and they put these limitations on themselves, like because I was poor when I grew up, or because I'm like 5'6" and my dad's not a giant, or whatever that may be.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're enough. It's all good.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Cool. All right, so Christian, I just want to thank you again for your time today. I want to thank you for sharing your story, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot in your story, and I know as it
Scatterbrain.
goes on the internet and goes out into the world, it's definitely going to positively impact people.
I hope so.
And I know so. You know what I mean? Like we talked about earlier, like all of us human beings have a story, and when we share our story, it does positively impact people, and your story I know is going to go out and it's going to positively impact people. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah. Now I want to just give you the platform. You've mentioned the gym, but we haven't mentioned because we're in a gym right now doing this interview. You've mentioned being in the gym or the gym and all that. We haven't mentioned the name, so I want you to mention the gym that you coach at. Mention, if people want to connect with you and reach out to you. Yeah. Your story has resonated with them on some level, and they just kind of want to maybe share something with you. Yeah. Where can they come in regards to the gym here in Denver? Where can they reach out to you and things of that nature? Yeah.
So full name's Christian Paul. I coach at Mountain Strong. We're off the side of I-25 North in Denver. My Instagram handle is CPAUL618. My email address is cpaul922@gmail.com. Whatever you got, like questions, reach out to me. Let me know. I'm always in the gym. If you're in the neighborhood, stop by, say hi.
Cool, awesome, dude. So thanks again, Christian, and listeners. I just want to thank you again for tuning into the 127 Fit podcast. And if you guys want to reach out to me and connect with me, you can find me on Instagram. It's at 127 Fitness. Facebook is at Quentin Vars. And then if you guys could just continue to like and then share, and then most importantly, leave a 5-star review for the podcast, that would be great. If you think you would be an awesome guest, or if you have a friend or two that you think would be an awesome guest for the 127 Fit podcast, please send me an email. That email is 127fit@gmail.com. And then I would just want to encourage you guys, if you are finding value in the 127 Fit podcast, to just start again sharing that, the episode or the episodes that you're listening to on your Instagram stories. And start using the hashtag #BeSomeoneToFollow. That is kind of the quote. That's kind of the mantra for everything with 127 Fit and 127 Fitness. So just start using the hashtag #BeSomeoneToFollow. Just kind of build a community around what we've got going on with the podcast. And then, per the usual, I will leave you with Proverbs 24:10, which states, "If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small." This time until next time, I will catch you guys later.